All right, so I left you in the lurch at the end of the last chapter. But hey, you don't have to wait very long. You can just click on to the next chapter if you want, or you can wait till the next day. It doesn't really matter. We're on chapter 17, and mind you, my dears, we only have 21 chapters in this book. So we're getting there, and now Stevie seems to know who the prankster is. Do you? I wonder if you have any guesses. All right, here we go. Chapter 17. Incredible, said Jessie, blinking hard. Stevie, that's really hard to believe. Finally, after 20 minutes of talking, my words were starting to penetrate his grogginess. Well, believe it, I said. It's the only thing that makes sense. He scratched his head. You're right about the handwriting, and I believe you about the yipping, but still, that's so weird. Jessie's mom hadn't been happy to see me at their door at 8 in the morning. It had taken some fast talking to convince her to wake Jessie up. Throwing in the word emergency every now and then, that helped. Now we were outside, under the huge maple tree at the back of the courtyard. Jesse's checkered shirt was buttoned wrong. One side hung longer over his jeans than the other. His hair stood up in clumps, and he seemed to be having trouble focusing. Are you really awake? I asked for the third time. We have to make plans. I had slept late this morning, no surprise after last night. But I was due to Barking Buddies in 20 minutes, so I'd have to hurry. Jesse rubbed his face hard with both hands, then he blinked at me. Ready for action, Stevie. All right, I said. I know my idea is bizarre, but it fits, right? The trouble is, we need proof. That's where you come in. Me? Jesse smiled crookedly as he tucked his shirt into his jeans. The collar still stuck up way higher on one side of his neck than the other. I decided just to ignore it. You have to go to the library. It shouldn't be hard to find what we need. And if I'm wrong... We're sunk? Suggested Jesse. Think Titanic. Crossing his arms, he shivered. What am I looking for? It took me another minute to explain. The whole time I was talking, I was wondering, was Jesse awake enough to take this in? His eyes were still glassy and had that fake open look, as if invisible fingers were holding his eyelids open. Got it, he said a couple of times in a robot voice. Jesse, are you sure? I have to go. Okay, I've got it. Okay, I'll meet you outside Granville Market at 10:30. We'll plan our next move there. Here's how I had it figured. When the library opened at 10, Jesse would, I hoped, be the first one in the door. 10 minutes for him to find the information. Then he would hop on his bike and race over to Granville Market, which was on my main dog walking route. I would make sure I went dog walking alone this morning, and I'd work it so the dogs and I were outside Granville Market at exactly 10:30. Simple, right? I arrived on time at Barking Buddies. No police cars parked outside, so that was good. With Gayleen, I was a regular sunflower, smiling, cheerful, offering to help. I was so cheerful, in fact, that she gave me a few weird looks, especially when I admired her earrings, which, to tell you the truth, weren't all that exciting. They were just gold hoopy things, but mostly she was pleasant, probably because it was my last day. She agreed right away when I said I'd like to do a solo walk. Kind of like, my graduation, I said. Okay, I understand, said Gayleen. Off you go. After leashing up Swampwater, Daphne, Sally, and Dragwood, I headed for the door. But there was a problem. Swampwater wouldn't leave Brutus. When I tried to pull her away, she had a pretty good trick. She just sat down beside him. Have you ever tried to pull a sitting dog? Gayleen pursed her lips. How about if I take Brutus? I offered. Walking Brutus again made me nervous, especially after his escape with Swampwater, but sticking around Barking Buddies made me even more nervous. And any second now, Gayleen was going to say we'd have to go walking together. Letting Dagwood go, I leashed up Brutus instead. Brutus and Swampwater were thrilled and showed it by scampering and play wrestling. Save it, I muttered. Let's get out of here. Outside, I felt better. The dogs had a lot of energy and charged along like a team of sled dogs, but I still had more than an hour before I had to meet Jesse. Plenty of time to wear them out. Wear me out, too. As I walked the last few blocks to the market, I was breathing hard. Granville Market is this huge wooden structure right beside the ocean, full of fruit and vegetable stands, meat counters, chocolate sellers, donut shops, fish and chip joints. Well, you can get almost anything you want to eat in there. That's one of the reasons I'd suggested it as a meeting place. I'd missed breakfast and was hoping Jesse would run in and get me a snack, something that would help my brain work better. French fries, for instance. As I rounded the last corner, I was already excited. Jesse should be waiting right outside, clutching the proof. Finally, we could get ourselves out of this mess. Finally, we could... What on earth? There was a crowd outside the market. Crowds are normal inside the market. It's a popular tourist place, but this is weird. For a second, I got scared. Had something happened to Jesse? I looked for ambulances. What I saw was worse. Limousines. Police motorcycles. Uh-oh, I forced myself to ask. Excuse me, I said to a short blonde woman. What's going on in there? Oh, the market's closed, my dear. She backed away. The summit leaders are visiting inside. Oh, great, perfect. Why now? Those guys had all week to tour Granville Market. Did they have to pick the exact moment that Jesse and I were meeting there? This was twice in 3 days that they've gotten in our way. Were they following us or what? Okay, better not get too close. In fact, better get far away. But what if I miss Jesse? He could be in the middle of that crowd looking for me. I led the dogs to a spot at the edge of the crowd near a large green garbage dumpster. Usually it held mashed cardboard boxes. Today it was locked. Most people wouldn't even have noticed it, but I happened to be an expert on dumpsters, having ended up inside one in a previous investigation. I knew, for instance, that there'd be footholds on the outside that I could stand on to get a good view. I got a solid grip on the leash knot with my right hand and used my left to hoist myself up. Perfect. My perch made me at least 2 heads taller than everyone else. I searched the crowd for Jesse's straight brown hair, and probably still not combed. I saw gray hair, black hair, hats, blonde hair, bald heads, red hair, caps, lots of brown hair too, but not the hair that I was looking for. Jesse, I called, but only a few people close to me heard and turned their heads. Jesse! A white-haired man in front of me put his hands over his ears. Hopeless, also risky. We were way too close to the president. I hopped down from the dumpster. Jesse would have to find me on my way back, or turn up at Barking Buddies, I guess. We could talk later at lunchtime. Uh-oh, problem. The crowd had shifted, and now it surrounded the dumpster. Did you ever try to walk 4 dogs through a crowd? Some people reached out to pat them, but others edged away in alarm. Some people did not like to be dog-sniffed, even in a friendly way, and especially not by Brutus. There were oohs and eeks and little squeals as we tunneled our way through, and then Brutus started to growl, and that made people even more nervous. Oh boy, better get out of here fast. I looked around for an open space. Yes, there. Come on, guys, I said to the dogs. This way. I pulled them through the crowd toward the open space. Some weirdo had his arms out straight, blocking the way. I shoved, but he wouldn't move, so I ducked under. The dogs followed. Good. We were in the open. Wait, not good. The person that I had just gone around was a police officer. He was one of a long line of police officers. They all had their arms out straight, holding back the crowd. They were staring at me and the dogs with expressions of shock and horror. Nothing like my shock and horror, though. The dogs and I were right in the middle of a path the police had cleared from the market to the limos. A path for the summit leaders. And there they were. I could see their suits as they stepped through the market doors. Worse, Swampwater could see them too. She went absolutely bananas. I have never seen anything human, animal, fish, bird, or reptile go into such a frenzy. The barking, the leaping, the pulling, the jerking, and even the police were amazed. Too amazed to move for a couple of seconds, and by then it was too late. Now, don't get me wrong, I held onto the leash knot. Even in all of this hysteria, I knew it would be a disaster beyond my worst nightmare to let a giant German shepherd charge into that group of suits. I held onto that leash knot as if my life depended on it. But one leash slipped loose. Swampwater, the escape artist. She ran at lightning speed toward the group of suits. There were yells and gasps. Police officers leaped at her like football players pouncing on a football, but she was too fast. The last thing I saw before huge, heavy hands gripped me above the elbows was a flash of yellowish-brown dog leaping through the air at the silver-haired president. Yikes! Swampwater's been reunited, but is it in a good way? I don't know. That's the end of the chapter, my dears. Talk to you next time.